What's up, y'all? Welcome to the On the Come Up podcast, where creative entrepreneurs share their come up journeys that turn their passions into success. I'm your host, Kimberly, so let's get started. What is up, guys? We are back with another episode. Today we are here with Starling Thomas. Starling is a film director. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, of course. We'll get into it. So what first pulled you towards filmmaking? Was there like a moment that made you realize like this was more than just a passion?
So I'm a writer first. I've been writing since I was a kid. It's always been like my imagination in writing has always been like a survival method for me. And I think I was in like middle school when I realized that I had a gift for writing. We all had to like write an essay, and then the teacher read it in front of the whole class, and everybody had to like vote on the best one, and I won. And I was like, okay, so like people really like my stuff. And so that's when I really started taking it serious. And then growing up, if I got in trouble, my mom would like make me write papers and poems, like write a 10-page paper about why you lied. So I think once when I got to high school, I started with like the visuals, right? I took a photography class, and that's really where I fell in love with being able to capture images. And then when I got to college, my undergrad is in public relations. So I was like in journalism school. And by that time, I was like, I think I would be good to go to film school, but I was already too far in my major. And I was like, well, how can I call myself a filmmaker, writer, director if I don't have a film? And so that was the first time I wrote a script. I shot my first short. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no idea. I don't think I had a mic. I didn't have any of that, but I had my friends from school, and the school let me use like the facilities to film. And I think that was when I realized I was like, this is something that I really want to do. And so I started on that path. I started working like even as a background actor, just whatever I could like get on set, just to learn. I never wanted to be an actress per se, but, I wanted to understand how to develop characters and like how actors get into their roles. So I minored in theater. And then after I shot that first film, I was like, this is something I really want to do. But one of my mentors told me that don't get in film to just make money, because you're going to be broke for the rest of your life if that's the case. And so fast forward, I got indicted by the federal government in 2016, trumped up charges because of somebody I was associated with in college. And during that time, I was working on a lot of different shows. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I was working on the first season of Atlanta. Survivor's Remorse was another show I worked on. A lot of stuff. This was like the bloom of Atlanta when like everything was being shot there. And when I went to trial, I thought that, that was when I started first doing a documentary. I was like, I'm going to document what the government is doing to me. And I thought I would have a chance to like document up until I went to jail if that was going to be the case. And I didn't. I was immediately snatched from my life after I lost my trial. And so I thought that like everything in film was over for me. I thought like I could not see my life past that. But it honestly was the fire that forged me. And I was able to take these gifts of writing and storytelling, and now my focus is on making impactful films around social justice. And obviously I do other stuff, not just social justice films, but that's where it becomes more than a passion for me, because I see the healing that happens in storytelling. I see what happens when somebody gets a platform to tell their story for the first time. And that is something that money can never replace. And no matter how hard it is, because it is hard being a filmmaker and getting funding for your films, like that is what really drives me. And being able to create a safe space for people who are impacted by trauma, sexual violence, all of these things, and not pimp their pain, right? Still give them ownership of their story and still make them comfortable in order to really get, stuff that people have never heard from folks. I have a project where we're in post-production right now, and she was abused by her family members as a child. And she told me that after we recorded, her interview, that was the first time she ever got to tell her story. And after that, I didn't know that sexual abuse survivors, they scrub. And it's like this thing, I've seen it in movies, you know, like people go in the shower like after they've been raped and they like scrub to try to get it off. I didn't know that was like a real thing. And she said she'd been doing that. She's in her 50s. She said she'd been doing that her whole life. And after that, she stopped. And I was like, this is what I do this for. This is the power of storytelling and giving somebody an opportunity to really be heard and seen through a different lens.
Well, I just want to say first, like, that was very powerful. So thank you for sharing that. You did mention you minored in theater. What was your major?
Public relations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's still kind of like this go hand in hand. Yeah.
I mean, now you got to be able to be able to do the PR, write the story, direct. Like, you got to be able to be multifaceted. So, I enjoyed theater a lot. Just being able to see how, you know, actors develop and get into these roles. It helped me as a writer, so that when I'm writing, I really give, you know, in the writing, they can feel what I'm trying to do and then put their you know, artistic expression on it. And I don't control the actors. I don't say like, oh, you need to do this. Like, I let them come into the role. And that for me is just amazing to see those words come on screen.
Where does your process usually begin when you're like, do you write first? Is it visuals? Is it characters? Or is it the message you want to portray?
It just depends. I get inspiration from so many things. My process can start with an article that I read about somebody. It can start with an image that I see, or it can start with an experience that either I have experienced or somebody close to me has experienced. And then, you know, I get the creative inspiration from that. And then I look at like, how can I really tell this story? And then once that's mapped out, then I look at cinematically, like, what can we do, you know, to bring this on screen. And the current short film that I'm in pre-production for right now is called Born Captive, and it's based on a true events. My mother was beat by a cop when I was a kid, and from that she was put on probation, 8 years probation, and year 7, she's 8 months pregnant with my baby brother, and she goes to report, and she can't afford the probation fees, but she's like, I'm here, I'm reporting, I just don't have the money. And the probation officer thought that incarcerating her would be the best thing, and so she was forced to give birth to my youngest brother, handcuffs and chains, and TDC. And so the opening part of the film is based on that situation, and then the latter part is based on a story that I read about a woman who gave birth in a jail cell because nobody came, when she kept pressing the button and calling for help, which is something that happens a lot. It's just people don't know about it. And so that's where the inspiration from this film came from. And there's also an impact part of it. You know, I have a co-producer, Represent Justice, shout out to them. They gave me the initial grant to do the film, and so there'll be an impact campaign on the back end of it, where I want judges and prosecutors and community folks to see this and understand that this is still happening and work towards change, so that we end prison birth completely in this country and stop incarcerating pregnant women. Like, it can wait. You know, like, if they have to go to jail, if they have to serve time, like, let them have their baby, have that bonding time, and then let them put things in place so that their children can be taken care of and not go into the system. And so that's exciting for me. The story is there. It's a horror film, which this is something different for me. It's an ancestral horror film. And so I've done horror before, but not in this way. And so the system is actually the unseen monster. And so being able to do that in this way it's kind of scary, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing at times, but it's also like impactful. And I know that this is going to be such a moving project.
Is that what's coming up? That's what you're doing now, right?
Yeah, that's where I just put out the casting call, I think last week. We're looking for actors of all genders, and then I'm looking to cast dancers as well, because there's that movement piece of it as well, which is, this will be my first time incorporating dance into one of my projects. But I have an amazing choreographer who has been doing this for years, and so yeah. And then I'm also in production of my feature documentary, Black Butterflies. which the hold up with that has just always been funding. We're in a like stiff competition with all these other filmmakers, and then this administration is constantly cutting money for creative things, writing, filmmaking, all those things, art, all those things. And so I'm hoping to be done with that this year, but we'll see. Documentaries, one thing I have learned, documentaries take forever.
So you're in the middle of like 2 projects right now, basically.
3, actually. 3, because I'm in post-production of From Darkness to Orbit, which is the one I told you just a while ago with the sexual abuse survivor. And hers is, that abuse led to her addiction, which led to her incarceration. So it still has that system impact. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm drawn to, but obviously I work on other stuff. My co-director of Black Butterfly, shout out to Jared. I actually met him when I became a lead writer on Washed, which was filmed, all Dallas filmmakers, all Dallas cast. I believe it's on Tubi now. It was on Amazon, but don't quote me. But I was a lead writer on season 2, and although I did write the characters, and there were some characters that did go to prison, the whole show was not based around that. So that's not the only thing that I do, but that's the most impactful part, I guess, for me, as being a writer and director.
How has your personal life and like lived experiences shaped the stories you feel called to tell?
Cool. Yeah, I think just being impacted by the system, by police brutality, by reentry, looking at my mother, and honestly seeing how even now, because back then there was not like a social justice movement, right? And so nobody came to her rescue, nobody helped her. She reached out to some of these organizations, NAACP and all of those folks that are like supposed to come in when you have this kind of thing happen. And she ended up taking a plea deal, even though she did nothing wrong. And that completely changed and like shattered our lives at the time. And so from that, I think once I became incarcerated, I was like, okay, I feel like these are the stories that I need to tell. Like these are, there's grandmothers in here, there's sisters, cousins, nieces, daughters, like, and nobody knows about their stories. Nobody knows about what's going on. Some of these women are 70, 80 years old, like have dementia, have health issues, have all these things going on. And so I think for me, that's when I was like in the belly of the beast, I should say, is when I realized like these are the type of stories that I want the world to know. And I'm not doing it because, this is going to go to the top, or this is going to be viral, or this is going to, that's not where my thought process is. I look at it as healing. And if this story gets out, who can it touch? Who can it heal? Whose lives can it change? And I think that's what drives me every day to continue.
How long ago was that?
So I was 8 when my mom got beat by the cop. I was 15 when she went to prison. And then I was 27 when I got wrongfully incarcerated, or 28. So I got out of prison in 2018. I actually beat the feds, which is a rare thing. And I talk about that in my doc. A lot of folks, they do try to get an appeal, and majority of people don't win. But even though I had to do 2 years, I had an amazing public defender who stayed on my case, and we won. And so they sentenced me to 3.5 years. I did 2 before I won my appeal, and they had to literally come get me off the compound. Like my dad I was in Bryan, in the facility in Bryan, and my dad had to drive from here to Bryan like in the middle of the night to come get me because they were like, you got to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've turned those like experiences into telling your story now, which is lovely, because not a lot of people do that, it's like, and then you came up from that. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were currently casting. What excites you most about this stage of the creative process?
About the casting part?
Yes.
Getting to meet new actors, hearing feedback on the script. It's always good when you have fresh eyes who like don't know your story or are not in that world, to tell you like how moving it is or how powerful, or like just want to be a part of it. And so it's really exciting I haven't even started looking. So if anybody's listening, I have not started looking at submissions yet. I do have a casting director. And so, just being able to see people's passion. And if it was up to me, I would cast everybody, obviously, but it's a small budget. So, that's really fun. And then also, I think what's most exciting too is the dance aspect, casting the dancers and seeing how they creatively put this story into movement. I think it's new for me. So, it's really exciting. In my head, I'm trying not to like have intrusive thoughts and be overthinking and be like, how the hell am I gonna do this with these dancers and the actors and this but because when I write, I don't write, and this is, I mean, most producers probably don't want to hear this, but when I write, I don't write with budget in mind because I feel like that limits you. And so sometimes that I have to go in and like scale it back a little bit because we have this budget. But I think just getting it out first. I've had a producer tell me, like, I did a film called Harvest in 2019. It had a good festival run. We did that in Dallas. And I had a producer tell me at the table read that he would have never produced this film because I had too many locations. It's like, well, good thing you're not producing it. Thanks. So, I always tell people, like, just get the story out, write it. If you're the writer, write it, get it out, and then go back and like scale based on what your capabilities are.
So when it comes to budgeting, where do you find that budget? Like, do you do like fundraisers, or is it like
all the above? Yeah, I've done with Harvest. I had a producer. I was at I think their name is still this, but Dallas Film Alliance. I was a part of their group for a while, and we did a short horror film, and I met a producer, and she was like, what are you working on next? And I sent her Harvest. She's like, I want to help. So she came up with budget for that. With Black Butterflies, we've gotten a grant from Austin Film Society, and then we raised almost $20,000 last year on Seed and Spark, which, oh my gosh, I hate fundraising. Like, it's so annoying. I have to talk and like do reels and ask people for money, but I had no idea how we were going to raise the rest of the money, because Seed and Spark, you can't, if you don't raise 80%, you don't get any of it. And so that was something different. And then now, this project, Born Captive, I'm an ambassador with Represent Justice, and so that's their whole deal. They find system impacted people who want to be storytellers, and we do a year-long program, and then they give you $10,000 to shoot your film. So it's all kind of avenues. Yeah. Just got to be open to whatever.
What lessons did you learn from your previous film that you're currently carrying into your current project?
So I would say, it's different, right? Narrative and doc. And doc, I feel like doc takes 1,000 years, but I would say for narrative, from my last short film, I learned to not rush. Like, even though my producer was on my ass, like, we gotta go. Like, I feel like once I was in editing, I was like, there were some actors that I could have worked with more to really get them to pull that out, especially when you're dealing with actors who've never done a film. I think I was just under the pressure to hurry up, and I feel like some of the scenes could have been better. Obviously, that might not be someone else's opinion, but going into this, because I have the funding from Represent Justice, and I don't have that producer who's like telling me what to do, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to make sure we have more rehearsals. I'm going to make sure on set, like, if I don't capture what I'm feeling and what I feel like needs to be in the scene, then we're going to redo it, versus just like moving on fast. With doc, I will say, looking at the stuff that we just shot last year and then trying to script the film now, I should have scripted it before we shot. The script doesn't look the same as a script for a narrative, right? So it's like a little bit different. But I just took a Sundance doc scripting class the end of last year, and I realized, like, yeah, you need to script before you film, so you don't have hours and hours and hours of footage that you can't use. So now we still have about half of the money left. We're going to look at filming some more stuff. Now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna script all of this before we even go into production, because I don't want to, like, for me as a director, obviously when I'm interviewing somebody, I want them to feel comfortable, so I talk to them in a way that's conversational, get to know, obviously majority of that stuff's not going in the film, but learning how to hone that and then get straight to the point, and then also how to work with them to be able to answer the questions in the way that we need for the documentary. But I will be honest, I could not wait to get back in the narrative, because like, we have a budget, we know what film dates are, and then we go into post. Documentary, the story can change, people can change, they might not want to do it anymore. Life, like, it's just so much. So I give it up for documentary filmmakers, because some of these films that we see have been like 10, 15 years in the making. And so you're really seeing someone's like life's work when you watch a documentary.
Yeah, I'm big into documentaries. Like I like the crime documentaries.
Yeah.
And then like I used to watch the First 48, even though it's like not a documentary, but it's kind of like
series. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know, just something about documentaries gets me intrigued.
What's your favorite?
I watched this one where like, especially like the missing persons. Like, I can't remember the name, but those are, like you said, they start from the beginning and then they have to come to present, right? And these people look totally different and just stories change. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's cool at the same time.
Yeah.
How do you know when a story is ready to be told?
I guess it's just a feeling, I think also too, I have tons of scripts that I've written that I've submitted to stuff that didn't get picked up, or haven't gone into any kind of pre-production, and they're just sitting on the back burner. But I think it just depends on what that moment is. And a lot of times as filmmakers, like, nobody's coming to knock on our door for opportunities, so we have to pave kind of our own path. And when you look at different opportunities to apply for, if I have to write a script for something, I think Indeed and like Lena Waithe or AT&T Untold Stories were doing something. I didn't get it, but they wanted something specific and about like work in the future. And so, I was like, okay, I don't have anything about work in the future. Like, let me go figure this out. So I think it's just about whatever it is that you're doing or applying for, or whatever it is that is like in the moment that you feel just needs to be told. Like with Born Captive, this project, it didn't start off the way it is now. It was more so of like, okay, I want to tell this story about a woman who gave birth in a jail cell, right? I want to talk about the mass incarceration. I want to talk about the human rights issue. I want to talk about the issues that women face when they're inside the, the inhumane living conditions and all of those things. But how do I do this in a way that's not a PSA, right? That's not, okay, look at this. This is what's going on. Get involved. More than 2,000 women, give birth in prison. So how can I make this narrative to where it still makes people uncomfortable enough to care about what's going on, but also be cinematic? And so I think that's where, like, I was like, okay, if the original story wasn't ready, but then once I went back and tried to figure out how can I make this different, then I was like, okay, this story is ready. And then also getting feedback. Like, feedback is so, so important. And not just for family and friends, because they will tell you anything is good and it don't be. And, like, I've had scripts where I'm like, can you read this? Like, just look for typos and I'll get it back. I'm like, it's good. And it's like, no, there's a freaking typo in the first sentence. Like, come on, y'all. But, it's all love. But just getting feedback from people and other folks who are not as connected to the story. And also, because there was like with Harvest, I sent the script out to one of my mentors. She works in magazines, editorial. And she was like, I think there just needs to be one scene, that shows this. And I was like, I think you're right. And it ended up being one of the most powerful scenes in the film. And it's super short, but like, had I not sent it to her and got that feedback, I would have never thought to put it in there. And then the story really be ready to go into pre-production. So just tap on your folks, like your creative community. And there's different organizations. Like, I work with Film Shop, And it's nothing but filmmakers, and you get together every week and you share your project and you talk about it. And some of these filmmakers are doing amazing work, you know?
Mm.
So just having that community to help you so that you feel comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I'm ready now, you know? Because it's hard. Like, we're putting our heart and soul on pages, on screens, working with, you know, other creators and collaborators. And so, you know, you just got to be in community with folks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so now I feel like, and then you never really feel ready, you know? Like, no matter how much preparation you can do, I still get nervous. Like, I still sometimes, like, it's funny because I work with all kind of folks who work on huge productions, like commercials, and then they come and they're like, your set's so like chill, and they'll say different things like set lingo, and I'm like, just talk normal. Like, I don't know what that means. I don't work on these multi-million-dollar sets. Like, just tell me what you're trying to say, you know? So, my advice would just be like, be in community with your people and other folks who are in that creative space who are working towards something too.
What other advice would you give about trusting your voice and staying committed to their vision?
Oh, I would say your voice does not need permission from anybody. Like, you don't need a stamp or like a cosign, you know. If it's in you and you feel like the story needs to be told, just go for it. I mean, people are going to get on the bandwagon at some point, but don't let that hinder your creativity. And everybody's voice matters. Like, you know, so I'm not the type that's going to do, and maybe I will in the future. You never know. I'm not like the romantic love story kind of person, right? All my stuff's like super serious and like about the system, and but I'm open to whatever. But just don't doubt yourself, you know, as much as you want to. Don't doubt yourself, and let your voice like guide you, and you'll feel it. Like, you'll know that this is right. And if it's a project that you don't feel, don't do it, you know, regardless, because money comes and goes. But just stay true to who you are authentically.
I love that. When do you think like the film that you're casting for, when do you think that will start filming?
So we have a tentative film dates from March 18th to the 22nd. We just blocked out that week, but we're looking at a 2 to 3 day production during that time. So my lead actress is a teacher. So like that spring break, you know, my DP is like working all around the world on all kind of stuff. So like that's his window. So I'm kind of at the mercy of folks who are in the project, but that's our set dates for now. And then today, my DP and I went to the jail scene to scope it out and look, and it's a real jail. And I don't think I was ready for how it was going to feel when I walked in there. But yeah, so March, and the film will premiere. This is the first time I've ever worked on a project that's had like strict deadlines. Usually it's like when we get the money, then we do what we got to do. But we premiere in LA in July. So literally film in March, go straight into post-production, and we have to have the locked final film to them by the end of June, and then we premiere in LA in July. So I'm on so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it like a red carpet event, or is it like a film festival?
It's not a film festival. Represent Justice does the first premiere. So it's 10 ambassadors. It'll be 10 different films, 10 short films, and we all premiere in July in LA. Last year they had it in Beverly Hills. I don't know if they'll have it in so this year at the same place. But yeah, so it's about to be.
Oh, wow. You're about to be busy.
Yes.
So we're gonna play a little this or that.
Okay.
Writing or directing?
Writing.
Script or visuals first?
Script.
Film festivals or private screening?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. You need both. If I had to choose, because there's like two different things. That's a hard one, because like private screenings give you real feedback from real people and tell you where you're missing stuff and what needs to fix, and then film festivals get your stuff out to the world. But I would say private screening, because that's where I'm going to be very intimate with people and really feel how the film is resonating with them.
And morning creativity or late night?
Oh, girl, I am not a morning person, okay? Late night. I got 2 young kids, and I'm barely making it to get my daughter to kindergarten in the morning, okay? So definitely late night. I read somewhere, don't quote me because I don't know where I read it at. I read a lot of stuff, but I read that people who are creative work best at night. Like literally nighttime, like something about the balance in your body, like you're more creative at night. And I don't know if that's for everybody, but for me, it's definitely true. When the house is super quiet, the kids are asleep, and like nobody needs me for anything, and I can just like focus and do whatever it is I'm doing. So definitely night.
I feel that I've caught myself a couple of times like thinking of things I need to do, and I'm just sitting on my couch and it's the evening and it's dark outside and it's quiet, and I was like, I need to do this. I'm like, why am I running my brain at 9 p.m.?
See?
Yeah.
I told you, it's something it's something with your body and the algorithm of the world, and I don't know. I'm gonna look it up because I can't remember where I got that information from. But when I read it, I was like, that makes sense. Like, why, in the middle of the night, or I'm like laying in the bed, or the shower too is one of my creative spaces. Like, I would literally be in the shower and like all these ideas come to my head. So I guess that would be my morning if I take it
right
in the morning.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey. Best of luck to you with your new film. How long is it gonna be?
We're aiming for 15 minutes.
Okay.
The script is 17 pages right now, but we're hoping to get it down to 15 for festivals. But yeah,
That's
it's short.
Yeah, they have like certain guidelines and stuff. Yeah, I've heard. So, well, best of luck to you, and I hope you find your perfect locations and casting, and that seems so exciting. So you got a full new year ahead of filming and casting, and that'll be fun.
Yes, I'm really excited, and thank you so much for sharing your platform and letting me get on here.
Of course, let everybody know where they can find you.
So you can follow me on IG at The Real Starling. My website, starlingthomas.com, and I'm on Facebook somewhere too, but I don't really be on it.
Yeah,
IG is the best.
And Threads. We've been on Threads.
Oh, yes, Threads. That's how I found you. Yes, yes. Threads is dope, y'all. Don't sleep on Threads, because it's a lot of business opportunities on there, I would say, for sure, before it gets convoluted.
For real. Yeah. Thank you guys so much, YouTube fam. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.